Anyway, so this is called Mahler in New York, which I've ruined with an introduction now, but let's just... Now when I go out, the wind pulls me into the grave. I go out to part the hair of a child I left behind, and he pushes his face into my cuffs to smell the wind. If I carry my father with me, it is the way a horse carries autumn in its mane. If I remember my brother, it is as if a buck had knelt down in a room I was in. I kneel, and the wind kneels down in me. What is it to have a history, a flock, buried in the blindness of winter? Try crawling with 2 violins into the hallway of your father's hearse. It is filled with sparrows. Sometimes I go to the field, and the field is bare. There is the wind which entrusts me. There is a woman walking with a pail of milk, a man who tilts his bread in the sun. There is the black heart of a mare in the milk, or is it the wind, the way it goes? I don't know about the wind, about the way it goes. All I know is that sometimes someone will pick up the black violin of his childhood and start playing, that it sits there on his shoulder like a thin gray falcon asleep in its blinders, and that we carry each other this way because it is the way we would like to be carried, sometimes with mercy, sometimes without. Thank you.
Yeah, all the imagery, the autumn and the horse's mane, just, I can visualize it so clearly right now. But, so, was there anything you were trying to say about yourself in this one?
No. The only definite answer I can give you. No. Not that I'm aware of. And of course, it's a persona poem, so it's through that other voice, and then it's sort of twice removed from me.
Mm-hmm.
But as I mentioned, I did write it when I was 24, so I think it was just sort of an opening chord to a lot of my music and whatever it is that I'm trying to do, which you'll have to tell me. But a lot of those images are there.
Especially the autumn,
especially
which we've seen a few times.
Especially, yeah.
And then
my horses,
violins. This is the first I've seen violins, but having music really does, well, in terms of being reductive, I want to say it resonates a little bit more, because having music as a metaphor, the violin of your childhood, it really just serves as like this practiced sort of passion you might have had for a while, and then something of it comes up later, and you wish you still had it. Like you wish you could still play the violin that way.
Yeah, we started by mentioning Rilke, so if we're wrapping up, we could think about him too. I mean, he has this great poem about childhood. At the end, he says, "We're astonished at having to go on after it's over, having to continue." I love that phrase you have, a practiced, what do you say, a practiced passion.
Yes.
As though sort of our childhood is something. We kind of just figure out how to do that, maybe. And then whatever's next. And it seems like that every stage of our lives. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I certainly wasn't thinking explicitly in those terms, but it's good to try to get all those senses in there. Smell and sound, touch.
And in terms of what's next, what do you have in the plans for the future?
So I have I published too quickly these first 3 books, I fear, and my third book is it's a long poem. It's a book-length poem. It's called Vincent. It's coming out next summer, in July of 2015, from Cider Press. They're wonderful people out there in San Diego at Cider Press. They make some really handsome books. I'm very happy with what they've done with the first 2. And so it's a poem that is in the voice of this man, who's a real man, who's named Vince Lee. And you can look him up, and you can discover that he did something particularly grisly and terrible on a Greyhound bus in Canada some years back. And so this is a book-length poem in his voice. I've fictionalized it, of course. It's not him, but in the voice of somebody who might find himself having done something like that and having to think about good and evil and all these archetypes that we've been talking about. So that's coming out next summer, and then I'm always working on a new manuscript of shorter poems, and I have some of those coming out in some journals in the coming months, and just other than that, plugging along, trying to teach well and write well.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
So proud to have you on here today, Joe.
Thank you, Mike. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
I'm glad more people got to hear your poems, and if you didn't get to hear it now, tomorrow at 7, Joe will be reading again in the periodicals room at the Manhattanville Library. Yeah, that's about it. Have a nice afternoon, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks again, Mike.